Scoop is powered by Best Buy, where you can pre-order Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and can play it first at select stores.
Come get some. Beware,
IGN Game Scoop.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. This is Greg Miller.
Hey, that's right. I've only been with you for like 260 episodes.
This is Justin Justified Davis.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And this is Brian Altano.
Nothing in the middle.
No, nothing. Brian, nothing in the middle, Altano.
That would be something, I think.
If you're just tuning in, Game Scoop is, of course, IGN's video game talk show, where we just talk about, what's going on in the video game world.
You shoot the breeze.
We just rap with each other.
Yeah,
friends sitting around.
Hanging out. Fireside chats.
We air Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and this Friday you'll have a chance to win another $250 Best Buy gift card. Stay tuned for that. It's that time of year again, when we're all sort of thinking about Game of the Year. We're trying to play as many games as we can, trying to knock them out, because we're sort of trying to finalize our list of nominees right now. We're not ready to vote yet. We're just trying to get a list of nominees together. So, we've been having meetings. Everyone's playing stuff.
A lot of fighting.
I love this time of year because it's the whole year. Games are coming out. We're all playing them sort of sporadically and independently. And this is the one time where I can come in on a Monday and be like, "Holy shit! Did you guys play this over the weekend?" And 10 other people jump up and they're like, "Yes," and it sucked. Or like, yes, and I loved it until this or that, or it had pacing issues and all this stuff. Yeah, which is great. That's my favorite thing about finishing video games, is coming in and having.
Well, yeah, right. Like that's people will get on you all the time about like we feel like we have to play everything as it comes out because we want to be part of that discussion. And this is the one time a year where it comes back around. Where it was we had the meeting on Friday, right? The first of our many meetings about all this nomination stuff, and to sit there for an hour and a half and just talk to each other about games was really cool because we don't get that chance often to talk about different things that Justin's played on his mobile platform that I haven't played yet because I've been doing PS3 stuff.
Doing real games.
Yeah, not playing baby games, not playing things for children.
Do any of you feel ready to cast your vote yet?
No.
I don't.
I feel like I have a good idea of where my votes are all jumbled. I do not have a final game of the year vote.
I have one that I'm sort of hovering around right now.
So do we feel comfortable revealing that right now?
No. I don't think we can. What's interesting is that last year...
I don't give a crap. Greg Miller.
So obviously last year, not everybody, it wasn't a unanimous vote for Portal 2. Like that was IGN's Game of the Year. Some people like Skyrim, some people, you obviously loved Uncharted. Yeah. But like there was no one... even if people didn't vote for Portal 2, they're like, man, that was a great game. Like it was an easy choice compared to how maybe it could be. There wasn't a ton of back and forth. This year it seems much more wide open.
Yeah, I agree to that. There's a lot more candidates I think up in the running right now that could easily be it. Where you're like, oh man, all right.
And that's kind of cool. Like the general consensus is that this year was probably not as strong of a year for video games as last year. But that allows stuff to slip in there. Like it allows. I don't even know, like we're talking a lot about Hotline Miami, we're talking a lot about FTL, we're talking a lot about games like Unfinished Swan and Journey, and these games that, in a bigger year would probably not be in the running. It's like, man, that game was really good. So we're seeing a lot more stuff sort of slip up there, and the conversation's a lot bigger, I think.
Yeah, so like I was saying, IGN has not finalized its nominee list.
Yeah, I mean, none of those games are, these are just, lots, and anything that was great is in the
DC
discussion.
Universe Online, pulling for that. Update number 20 was pretty good.
But you bring up a good point. Games we're considering include Borderlands 2, Dishonored, Mass Effect 3, Halo 4, and then next to all of those games is Journey, Unfinished Swan, Walking Dead,
Mark of the Ninja.
Mark of the Ninja, yeah. These smaller.
Yeah, and I've been playing a lot of these games, and I'm finding myself leaning towards them more than the big like Assassin's Creeds and the Borderlands and stuff like that. I haven't gotten to Halo yet, of course, but I actually really love this sort of format that. I sat down, I played Sound Shapes from start to finish in 2 hours. I played Unfinished Swan from start to finish in 2 hours. I played Journey from start to finish in 2 hours. And people were asking me to compare them, and it's like, that's the worst part about our jobs, I think, is when people are like, what do you, like, I don't know if people ask Roger Ebert if he likes some art house film versus another art house film, and they just kind of lump them all together. Like, to me, Journey and Unfinished Swan, they're nothing alike, aside from...
Yeah, that's been a pet peeve of mine too. Is they get lumped in this category of art games, and it's like they're not the same genre. They don't play the same. Like they're not trying to do the same things. They don't.
Like one of them's a first-person paintball game, sort of, for a while, and then it's like a vine-growing simulator.
Well, it's like puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And so I don't know how they get lumped in this category of made by small teams or indie games. Yeah. And I'm like they're not the same. Like you wouldn't compare Like, which should I get Call of Duty or should I get Assassin's Creed? Like, you know, those are seen as separate things. So why do art house games get lumped together?
It happens all the time too.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pet peeve, but I mean, I think people just like to be able to kind of compartmentalize things in their heads. And if they go, well, I have $10 to spend on PSN, then, you know, fucking mow a lawn or something. Get $20, buy them both.
Yeah, that's fair.
Go out and mow the lawn.
Mow the lawn.
November. Is that what's happening?
Sell some drugs. I don't know how kids
No,
make
it's
money.
snowing. Please go away.
Mow some snow. Get out there.
It's like 80 degrees in San Francisco today.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It is.
What do we think about Borderlands 2?
I think it's on my short list. It's definitely, I think it's one of, with not much reflection, it's definitely, I think it would be the game I've had the most fun with. Like, I mean, like when it came out this year and like my roommate moved his TV into the living room and we sat there with dual TVs playing on the same game for like 5 hours in a row.
Yeah, that's
that was
really cool.
awesome. That was awesome. And that was I mean, and, you know, not everybody has that experience. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, so maybe it's different for every people. But the way the co-op works and dropping in and dropping out and working with people and leveling up and doing all this, and then the fact that the story is so funny and Handsome Jack is such a great character. It's like there's so many awesome parts to Borderlands that I want to go back and do all the DLC. You know, I bought the season pass. I'm all set to do more stuff.
I really enjoy it. The art direction's awesome. It's probably the best looking game this year, just simply from a technical level. I just think like the whole hook of get a good gun to kill an enemy better, to get a better gun to kill an enemy better. It's a great like loop, and I can see why that would hook people. But for me, yeah, like, you know, our news editor Andrew Goldfarb sunk 100 hours into that game. Like not even joking, 100 hours.
He's all maxed out, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, the second the DLC drops, he's on it and he's flying through it. But for me, like, I mean, I see it, I get it, but it's just not the type of cycle that can really grab me when I can go and play something else and from start to finish in a few hours.
Something that can show you something different every single. Like, I haven't played Borderlands 2 yet. It's one of the games that's on my list. Hopefully, I'll get to it in the next week or two. But it strikes me as a game that, yeah, I mean, maybe the criticism could be leveled at it that it's too repetitive, and that's coming from someone that hasn't jumped into it yet. You know, compared to another game that's really like showing you a bunch of different things or a bunch of smaller experiences that are, you know, showing you things you haven't seen before.
I will say one interesting Game of the Year experience I had this year. I was texting Greg about this, but I tried to play a PC game. And,
Which one?
Hotline Miami, which I looked incredibly exciting. The title screen came up, and I plugged in my Xbox 360 controller, which I had calibrated before to use on PC games through Steam, and it was like, nope. And I went into the forums to read about it, and it was like, create a notebook file that's blank, call it Xbox 2, and drop it in your Steam apps / folder. And I did it, and nothing happened. And I was like, it's so nice outside. It's just so beautiful outside. And I was like, because this is after a full weekend of just playing console games where you turn them on and everyone's gonna hate me for this.
Oh, I get it all the time.
I mean, it's just
It is the problem with PC games.
like the game looks like a Super Nintendo game. Why can't I play it with a fucking controller? Like, it's sorted out. I'm not playing it with WSAD or whatever.
They just added controllers.
They did, but I think part of it was to drop this notepad file into the, and like I don't have time for that shit.
Exactly.
I just don't.
Games are like, this is what I get into besides, you know, I was talking shit on PC games last Game Scoop. I do pretty much every Game Scoop.
Yeah.
And somebody tweeted at me, he's like, well, I guess I'll just take my first person shooters at a crisp frame rate and better graphics.
Right.
I don't care how good the game looks.
Yeah, me
I do
neither.
not, the console games look fine. They look pretty good. I don't need to worry about it looking that much better. And like, I understand the PCs aren't more powerful and they can do this, that, and the other.
Hey,
and they can deliver these
if I had
experiences.
like a Jetsons robot that would set up everything for me,
Sure.
where it was just like, it's like, hey, come on in, George, your Call of Duty's ready and the settings are all maxed out and you didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Here's a controller, sit down and be like, I fucking love PC games.
Yeah.
This is great.
Someone-
This is my PS3, I turn on my PS3 and I play a game. And
Well, there's a
somewhere-
firmware. Like, that's the argument, right? Is like, I understand the anti-arguments of all this stuff.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
the
you wanna go.
anti-arguments.
I'll get to the anti-arguments.
from the makers of arguments.
I was just gonna say that someone somewhere is gonna watch this Game Scoop and they're putting on their wolf mask right now and getting in their DeLorean and heading over to the IGN office.
Yep, they're mad. They're really mad at me.
It's one of those things for me.
Hotline Miami's really good. I strongly
Gaming is my
suggest it.
entertainment and my you know my go-to entertainment. I don't watch that much TV. I want to play games, and you know I get home late from work because the Muni sucks ass. I eat dinner and then I have how many 2 hours maybe.
Yeah.
If I have another project, I need to sit down and go. I don't want to sit down and Google drivers to figure out why the fuck ARMA isn't working and why I can't play.
I don't just sort it out. Like treat me like an idiot child that I am.
That's why consoles are great. That's how they treat us.
Exactly. They're like, put the disc in and press start.
Yeah.
Cool. Done. Got it.
I mean, the interesting thing about Game of the Year is it does put games like Hotline Miami head-to-head against something like Halo 4, something like Borderlands. Like, how do you even begin to sort out, you know, it's not, it's not, objective at all. Like, it's the most subjective thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's really tough. And then someone, like, what happens if 3 people are absolutely in love with something and everybody else is sort of so on it? And then it's like, you know, these are things. It's a lengthy process to sort out. You know what a
like
game of the year
like
is
I
gonna
had
be.
more fun in the 2 hours I spent playing Unfinished Swan than the 15 hours I spent playing Borderlands.
Yeah.
Totally different experiences. But I mean, Unfinished Swan doesn't even have textures.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even have textures, and it's up for Game of the Year against this game that's just like completely beautiful, cel-shaded world that's just like, just incredible to look at. Like you come onto a scene and all of a sudden you're like, look at those mountains, look at these characters, look at the way everyone's like riding through the hills and everything like that. And I'm like, look at this room, it's empty until I throw paint on the wall.
When you also
Game of the Year.
You
It's
also
crazy.
you have to weigh something like, so Halo 4 is, you know, and I haven't played it yet, but, you know, I read Ryan's his review and watched the video review, and it seems like it's sort of Halo, but like they're just edging, like they're smoothing off all those rough edges, and maybe it's like the best Halo ever, versus something that does something completely new, something I've never seen before, like something like FTL or Hotline Miami, which, how do you weigh the originality versus like, you know, building on something that's been, you know, Halo's been around for a long time at this point. So it's tough.
Like the fact that you can sit down and finish Journey from start to finish in like an hour.
Yep.
And it's just like,
The answer is that
just
we
this
just
experience.
It's like, so if it only took you an hour to beat it, but then how long does it stick with you after that?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly,
a fair
exactly.
point.
And then, but what I've noticed a lot too is with games like this, and I definitely noticed it with Sound Shapes, is I got through all the main stuff very quickly. I really enjoyed it, and then the game becomes something completely different.
Right.
Like it's like, here's hard mode, and it's like this is like a completely different game here.
Yeah.
This is suddenly not this fun little bouncy platformer where I'm going to the beat. This is like this psychotic, crazy trophy-driven hell world where I have to like collect as much as I can in 13 seconds and die hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Unfinished Swan, where it was like people were like, "Oh, did you get that trophy where you don't throw any paintballs or whatever? I think you can only throw 3 or something."
Yeah, it's like minimalist to get through the watchtower
and
part.
you're just going through sound, and it's just this totally blank world. Like that makes the game completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or going in and collecting everything in Journey instead of just flying through it. So
The answer is that we get in a room and yell at each other
yeah,
until we crown Game of the Year.
I mean, it's the same way we come
I like
up
how
with
much
our,
fighting there's been right now. Not fighting, but how much argument. This is the most aggressive. Let's try to get nominations. We haven't gotten close to voting. We don't
Yeah.
know what the final games are nominated are, and there's like all this like debate about how to fill this and how many slots we should have, and you know what game gets here, and blah 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 blah.
I mean, obviously
We're
we
doing
can-
presentations. People are sending out detailed emails like, I
Oh,
know
yeah.
you'll never play this 70-hour game.
Yeah.
So here's my review. Here's my video review.
here's my pitch.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a science fair.
Yeah,
It's,
I love
you know,
it. I love that
it's,
part.
it's great.
And we can do whatever we want. I mean, IGN, we can have as many nominations for Game of the Year as we decide we want to have, like whatever makes us happy. But, you know, we know a certain number of games, like, look, we're pretty sure these are going to be on the nomination list. And then there's open slots.
Yeah.
But there's more games than there are open slots. And that's, you know, that's the sort of thorny part of the process we're in the middle of right now.
We have a whole new console coming out too that's not even out
Yeah.
yet.
Yep.
You know, and there's new games for that we're gonna have to.
We're still waiting on Call of Duty. I mean, there's so many big games too that are still not here that we need to factor into all this.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, I
actually
mean-
a fair point. I mean, if anybody's watching this, we've built in time that, you know, we're not going to have things locked down before we get a chance to
Yeah.
play Call of Duty, before
Like
we get a chance
there's
to
a
play.
there's a brand new
Zombie
side-scrolling
U.
Mario Brothers game coming to the office,
Yeah.
and that is like my favorite series in the world. I loved the one that just came out in 3DS, even though we knocked it down a few pegs for not being so original. It's one of my most played games of the year. There's one coming out for Wii. It's their first time ever, or for Wii U, ever doing this in HD. And this could be like my favorite platforming game of all time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
I haven't even played it yet, so.
a game like Mario is, you know, maybe it's more the same and it won't be up for Game of the Year. Maybe it's going to be mind-blowing, and then, yeah, it obviously has to get on that list. Like,
Or it's like the Halo 4 thing, where it's just like they perfected this thing that they've been working on for years, and this is the best version they've ever done of it.
shut it down, guys.
Shut it down. That's it. Mario's not gonna make more money for anybody. Just close it off.
We're trying to get ahead of it this year and get our awards out actually before we break for the holidays.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Which means, yeah, it is. It is. It's actually pretty cool. Which, I mean, historically, IGN editors have always spent the holiday break playing all the stuff. Like, right before I leave for Christmas, Greg will be like, "Oh, you missed this on PS3," and I'll go home and I'll play it. You know, I mean, I think it was like 3 years ago I bought a PS3 right before going home for vacation, just to have one for those 2 weeks while I was there. And I ended up playing through all these things, and I came back and I was like, "All right, I'm confident, I'm ready to vote." This year, all bets are off.
You can do that over Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, you can do that tonight.
It's better. Last year, our awards went out in like mid-January.
Yeah,
It's
it
too
was
late.
odd.
People are already in the new year, and they're excited about the new games coming out. They don't really care about the last.
It was last year was definitely like I remember it was like we were talking about earlier. I think I saw a tweet you wrote about it. You can put it up on the screen if you want. But it was like last year, you know, it was pretty much like certain that it was going to be Portal 2.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's nothing like that this year. That's
No.
just like obviously it's
Game
this
of the
game.
year. Yeah.
Like last year, it was like Skyrim or Portal 2, and then there was people like me who was like Rayman, and like somebody else was like, "What about this?" And it was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, Uncharted and Zelda.
Yeah, and Zelda. Yeah, and everybody, you know, you were like, "It's really great," and I played it, and then everyone was like, a couple people were like, "Zelda, you got to really," and we all played that. I played it for 40 hours and was like, "Nope." But this is it's a really different year. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, it feels much more wide open.
Yeah.